What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another Bring the Juice Colts podcast live stream. Guys, the Indianapolis Colts survived the late comeback by the Pittsburgh Steelers by a final score of 27-24. A little bit higher scoring game than most people would have initially gave it credit for. But the Colts get the dub and improved to 2-2 on the year. I am joined by my friend and co-host of the podcast, Cody Felger, the man himself. Cody, how you feeling after this one, man?
I put it on my Twitter, but I'll say it again. The Colts tried me this week. They really did. They were trying to get me all fire everybody. They were trying to get me there, but they didn't do it. They didn't succeed, despite Gus Bradley's best attempts, despite Shane Steichen's best attempts. No, here we are celebrating another win. Like you said, another back-to-back wins now for the Colts, which is definitely very encouraging. I don't care how much it got ugly at certain points in this game. I mean, Derek, a win's a win, and ultimately you just beat an undefeated team. I don't care. You can say all you want about the level of competition, but again, it's hard to win in today's NFL. So I'm going to take the win. There's still a lot of issues, still a lot of things, a lot of concerns about this team. But all that being said, I mean, going 2-2, Derek, in this stretch where you've played some pretty good teams, I mean, to still be in that spot where you're still very much in contention for a lot of things, I feel good, especially it felt like after that Green Bay game when it was like, oh my gosh, what's going on with this team? Now you're starting to see them settle in a little bit more, which is definitely great to see. So, absolutely. And the fact that Derek, the Colts did it very shorthanded in this game in a lot of ways, with a lot of key guys missing, either pregame or missing time going out of the game. The Colts still able to take care of business, which is massive, especially against a winning football team and really winning organization like the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it, Derek, is like, you know what? Like, we know the Colts have a lot of flaws. Like, we're not going to run away from those. But ultimately, Derek, for as young of a team as it is in a lot of aspects, wins like this are important. Just winning in general is important. So that's kind of how I'm feeling about it, man.
Absolutely. We're about to break it down, guys. But before we hop into that, just want to say this episode is presented by Prize Picks. Be sure to visit the Prize Picks app today and use the code BTJ for a $100 deposit match when you sign up. And Cody, I mean, you said it right. Before we even really get into like performances of a lot of people, you're absolutely right. I mean, this was a game that the Colts were banged up as all could be. I mean, to think about it, right? We said coming into this game, we knew we were going to be missing our 2 or 3 of our top defensive linemen in this game, Cody. And going into this game, we had Ryan Kelly as a late out for the Indianapolis Colts, and a rookie center had to take over. And then right at the end of the first quarter, your quarterback goes down with a injury where they said he probably could have came back in that second half if we absolutely needed him to, but they chose to keep him out anyway, just to make sure it didn't get any worse. And then your running back, your best player on your offense, went out late in the game also in some of the most pivotal moments there as well. So you had injury after injury after injury, and I didn't even account for the secondary, right? We had so many injuries in this game. This was a game that you as a person could have sat back and said, man, if we had this one guy, if we had this one other guy, we might have actually had a really good chance of winning this game. But in despite of that, Cody, goes to show you the kind of grit this team has. Again, it is all about the next man up mentality. Again, you and I, we have our issues with sometimes what these coaches do with calling plays and stuff. But the one thing you can't deny, this team has grit and this team has a lot of pride. And that was on full display to win a game like this when the odds were stacked against you.
Yeah, and to your point with the grit, talk about the depth this team has. I mean, Derek, let's just run down the list real fast. Starting quarterback got injured. Starting running back got injured. Starting center got injured. That's just on the offensive side of things.
On the offense.
I was trying to say there's probably other ones that I mean, Braden Smith was a game time decision. Like, you didn't know about him for pretty much, he didn't practice for, most of that week. Tyquan Lewis was injured. Kwity Paye was out of this game, and DeForest Buckner, obviously a major one, not even in this game, and Kenny Moore not in this game either. And obviously Juju Brent's out for the year. So you're relying on guys like Jalen Jones, Samuel Womack, who, shout out to him, I thought he had a pretty good game, all things considered. Like, those type of guys at corner. And again, it wasn't perfect. You still had issues, but Derek, I mean, you were basically running out a 7th-round pick and a guy you claimed off a waiver wire. Like, that's who you were running out as your two starting corners this week. And Chris Lamons as well, who I want to shout out as well. He had a sack, forced a fumble as well. So that was cool. But just relying on a lot of guys that honestly people wrote off. People weren't even talking about like a week ago. Like, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to depth. And I mean, to their credit, I felt like the depth stepped up when needed in this game, which was definitely huge.
Oh, yeah. And especially in that first half, I mean, it was all Indianapolis Colts in that first half. And you're right. We've given a lot of crap to the depth of this team at times, especially having to deal with the injuries. But the depth players actually stepped up today. And we're going to go ahead and break it down for each individual unit here, Cody. And this is going to probably take a while because there's a lot to talk about with this team. First things first, I mean, the quarterback situation. So Anthony Richardson, I mean, to his credit, Cody, Anthony Richardson started this game looking like the best performance to start a game that we have seen from Anthony Richardson yet this year. Started 3 of 4 for 71 yards and did not get sacked, had 3 carries for 24 yards, and did a lot of great things to start the game before his injury. You and I both agreed there. He just needed to slide sooner on that. So, it's just one of those things. There's just not much you can really do about it now. I'm sure Steichen will probably talk about that a lot during the film session, is just like, hey, like, that was a moment right there. You need to slide. You need to slide early. Like, I know you're trying to get the yards, but you got to slide early. Yes. I mean, you had a first down in spite of that. You should have just slid when you got the first down. That's one of those where Anthony Richardson's still having to get used to it. But again, from the throwing perspective, Anthony Richardson looked very good to start the game. And then from that point, Joe Flacco took over, and it was pretty smooth sailing for the most part. Joe Flacco, 16 of 26 for 168 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Almost did get intercepted, though, at one point late in the first half. Was sacked twice, 105 QB rating. Overall, I mean, some good things, some bad things from Joe Flacco, but overall, Cody, the quarterback play did enough to get the job done, and it looked like some of the best quarterback play from both quarterbacks that we have seen this year.
Yeah, and I think it starts with Derek actually getting your receivers involved, which is something that we haven't really seen the Colts do a whole lot this year. I mean, we could run down the list, but before we do that, I mean, talking about just the quarterback play in general, definitely thought that they both played very well. For the most part, took care of the football, which was definitely good. And it's just a bummer to see that AR got hurt, because you do wonder, like, based off of the momentum he had early in that game, like, could this have been his best performance? Like, you do wonder that. Obviously, you anticipate for some of those inconsistencies, but I mean, AR was cooking early. It's just a shame. I mean, the fortunate news for the Colts, Derek, is that AR seems to be fine. I mean, from what they've said, it's like a hip pointer. So, I mean, he could have gone back in that game. Shane Steichen said as much, but the Colts just wanted to keep him out. I'm not sure if I totally agree with that decision, especially because of how this game kind of came to in the second half. But I mean, Derek, I guess the good news is, like, AR can learn that lesson now, hopefully, or continue to learn and get it pounded into his head. You cannot, if you do not protect yourself, you will not be out there. And again, it's a hard lesson for him to learn, but I'd rather him learn it getting a hip pointer than another torn shoulder, or whatever it is. I'd rather it be something minor and him have to learn the hard way as opposed to actually not being able to go back out the next week, So,
and I agree to a sense. I would have liked to have also had Anthony Richardson out there to see what we could have had kept going. But I mean, two things to that. One, I mean, obviously from a hip perspective, if you're unable to really move your body the way that you want to, that can obviously play a huge role in, how things go from that point. Especially in how he would have played the rest of the game. It could have been impacted him. And second thing too, it's not about the games that he wins and loses this season. It's about the longevity. So obviously, they're saying we still have 12 more games after this. Actually 13 more games after this. Let's just go right ahead and let's be safe about it. I agree with you. I would have really liked to, I really think it would have been great to see him out there, but I do understand the position, even though I would have liked to have seen him. But yeah, I mean, it's a long season. Let's give him a chance to at least make sure he's healthy.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I get it. I get why they did it, but yeah, I mean, Anthony Richardson, I mean, really the only thing was just like he said, he couldn't accelerate quite the way that he wanted to. And obviously with being the hip pointer, that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it's week 4, Derek. There's still a long ways to go. So I mean, seriously, that's why you brought Joe Flacco in. If you ever had to have a situation like this where your quarterback could go back in, but you're like, hey, we have a capable backup. He can lead us to victory. And he did. He did when it came down to it. And you do wonder, like, a couple of those sacks or a couple of the other issues, if he had AR out there, could he have potentially, made a play or not taken those? But I mean, whatever, like you take it, Joe Flacco right now is probably, in terms of passing, for sure a better quarterback. But again, you have the limitations physically that AR doesn't have. So I was okay with it. And I mean, I'm glad that AR was not happy. I'm glad that he was not happy to go back out there. Because
I mean, I'm just glad he was physically capable of actually being able to. I mean, he got up and I saw that hit and I'm like, oh my God, please no, please no, please no. Originally, I thought it was a kidney shot, but it wasn't quite high enough. It was down lower, which, I mean, fantastic news for the Colts. I mean, again, it was one of those where, like, damn, like, man, if you did just slide. Just slide. Yeah. That stuff doesn't happen. And can we talk too, Cody, about how he goes in on the next play and then proceeds to get helmet-to-helmet contact from Minkah Fitzpatrick once again, and they still didn't call it?
That's pretty bad.
This is the most unofficiated player in all the NFL, and I'm sick and tired of it. I really am. I'm so pissed about it. Like, it really should. It's so embarrassing that nobody wants to protect Anthony Richardson, and it's ridiculous. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, every week there's a couple more, but whatever, man. It's just annoying.
Leo Vargas, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate that. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, as we go along here, the running back room. So Jonathan Taylor, shy of 100 yards today. Certainly didn't waver in his attempts, though. 21 carries for 88 yards and a touchdown to start the game off. If Jonathan Taylor had been in that game at the very end, who knows what could have been for his numbers. But even Adonai Mitchell getting a 10-yard rush on a little bit of a jet sweep action, reverse jet sweep for him. Otherwise, I mean, it was a good day running the football, Cody. It's not like it was anything amazing, especially late in the game, because the offense started getting stale because Pittsburgh started blitzing everywhere, and the Colts just really didn't have much to account for with that. But nevertheless, I mean, running the football, it was still really good today. I mean, it's nice that they were able to still run the football.
Yeah, I'm hopefully Jonathan Taylor is okay. It looked like he was getting his ankle wrapped or something, so he wasn't able to finish that. Like
it was an ankle. He was trying to do some like high knees and chops on the sideline to try to get it. I mean, again, he absolutely could have if they needed him to, but again, in that particular situation, again, it's a long season. Hopefully, like with Anthony Richardson, he rests that up this week and, they move on and, they're able to go to next week. So,
yeah. And again, Derek, Trey Sermon didn't really do a whole lot in this game. I mean, he didn't really get the run game going outside of Jonathan Taylor, which was a bummer. But, well, I guess we'll have to see. Hopefully JT is good to go moving forward. And Derek, this is a team like that you knew they could stop the run. I think they were I know they were at least top 5. I don't remember what they were exactly at the run. I know they were number 1 overall defense. But when it comes to stopping the run, they were somewhere within top 5, I believe, or maybe they were number 6. But regardless, they were really good at stopping the run. And the Colts, to their credit, without Ryan Kelly, mind you, were able to run the football very effectively. And they were just shredding Pittsburgh at times, which was definitely very encouraging. And again, Derek, from a depth standpoint and also just from a talent standpoint, it's easy to see why people and a lot of smart people regard this Colts offensive line as the best in football, because it doesn't matter who's out there for them at this point. It doesn't matter who they're facing. Apparently, they can run the ball and they can move guys, which is definitely very, very exciting.
Let's go with the $5 super chat. Hey, fellas in chat, who knows where I can get an EJ Speed jersey? They're all sold out. Fanatics, I would imagine the first thing, but chat, help this guy out. But thank you for the $5 super chat. Greatly appreciate it. Let's stick with the offensive line here for a moment, and then we'll talk about the rest of the group here. So Tanner Bortolini had to step in for Ryan Kelly. That first drive, they score a touchdown off of the back of Jonathan Taylor. And Tanner Bortolini, everyone's seen running up and down the sidelines because he's all pumped that, he was pushing people out of the way. And obviously helping Big Q. And of course, the offensive line, like you said, Braden Smith, despite practicing only one time this week and having a little bit of help, no sacks for TJ Watt. TJ Watt in that game was a non-factor. And that is the biggest reason the Indianapolis Colts offense was able to do what they did today. They prevented the best defensive lineman, or maybe the second best defensive player in the entire NFL, from being a factor at all. He was a non-factor in the game. The first time all season that he's been like that. So again, shout out to freaking the offensive line, man. Yes, 2 sacks on Joe Flacco. The Steelers were blitzing all it could be. But again, you were still able to run for 133 yards on this team. You were able to pass for 225 yards. That offense was able to go because, once again, this is the best offensive line in football, even when they're missing their centerpiece. So, this offensive line continues to amaze me, man. I'm so happy for Bortolini. I am so happy for this offensive line. It's one of the few things that Chris Ballard got right, and that was drafting all these offensive linemen.
Hey, man, I just got to say, nobody talks about this man, but he is the most underrated tackle in football. Let's talk about Braden Smith. Nobody talks about Braden Smith. We don't, and we need to, because everybody is the only talk I hear around Braden Smith is, oh, he's injury prone, blah, 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 blah. Like, all that crap that we heard last year. But Braden Smith, Derek, when he is on the field and when he's feeling himself, he is might be a hot take. He's a top 5 right tackle in football.
He's easily top 10. Easily.
You can't debate with me because he's done this multiple times. Derek, there's multiple seasons where he didn't allow a sack, and we never talked about him.
Yeah,
but
for real.
He's so stable out there when he is healthy. And Derek, you saw the fall off last year when Braden Smith wasn't out there, right? So for all the people who wanted Braden Smith, like the Colts, to move on from him, I'm like, no, because when he's healthy, he's one of the best right tackles in football. We're keeping him around, man. Like, he is so good at what he does.
Yes.
And today was an exact example of that. TJ Watt could have changed this game. Like, he could have. But Braden Smith, to his credit, just as I expected him to, held his own. He held his own, despite the fact, like you said, didn't hardly practice all week, was a game-time decision. He still did his job. And not just in the pass game, but in the run game as well. Like, he did a phenomenal job today.
Yep, absolutely. Shout out to this freaking O-line, man. what the heck more can you say? I mean, this is such a tough task for anyone. I mean, Cody, you scored more points in this game than anyone has throughout. I think no, Cody, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I think they scored more points this game than the other opponents have through the rest of the season against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm gonna look it up just because I'm curious.
Yeah, well, yeah, Pittsburgh didn't hardly score on offense and still was able to win.
I mean, look, you scored more points today than the Steelers gave up through the first 3 weeks. The Steelers had given up 26 points before this game through the first 3 weeks, and you scored 27. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible. That's an awesome job by this offense that, again, had so many pieces dropping, but yet you still found a way to put it together enough to get it done. And we're going to talk about this wide receiver room in a second. Eric Hawk with a $5 super chat. Apologize to Flacco fans. Well, I mean, you can apologize to him if you want. I'm not going to apologize to nobody. I ain't said nothing bad about Flacco, or I ain't never said anything good about Flacco in regards to him taking the starting job. But either way, thank you for the $5 super chat. But anyways, we got to talk about these wide receivers here, man. I mean, holy cow. The one game where you had multiple people actually getting involved. I mean, look at this, Cody. This looks like what the Colts expected going into this season. Michael Pittman, 6 catches for 113 yards. Michael Pittman with the first play of the game had a 32-yarder from Anthony Richardson. A freaking great performance by him today. Josh Downs having a freaking day as well. 8 catches for 82 yards and a touchdown. I mean, Josh Downs was so pivotal for some of these big plays, especially on third down. Jonathan Taylor had a couple catches in this game that made you keep moving. Drew Ogletree had 1 catch today for 15 yards and a touchdown there. Alec Pierce, they tried to get him involved. They got him for 1 catch today. And Adonai Mitchell, I feel so bad for Adonai Mitchell in this game, Cody. I mean, so many times he was open and we just couldn't get him the football. I mean, it sucks, but at the end of the day, Adonai Mitchell, he was getting open. The connection has just not been there for Adonai Mitchell and these quarterbacks so far. Hopefully it gets better, but man, feels good to finally have some wide receivers actually do something for you, man.
I know, like, we've been like, where the heck has Michael Pittman been, man? For 3 weeks, he's done nothing. So it was kind of crazy. So it was good to see early on AR get him involved, and hopefully just, that's a sign of things to come for him, because we just haven't seen him a whole lot. You paid him and he hasn't done a whole lot for you. So yeah, great to see Michael Pittman, like you said, get really involved in this game. 6 catches, 113 yards. You talked about Downs. I mean, didn't have a great performance his first week back, Derek, but definitely made up for it. He had some pivotal catches, Derek, in this game. And obviously he had that touchdown from Flacco as well. So yeah, Josh Downs, just a really good football player. We love Josh Downs. I think one of the best slot receivers in the game. Honestly, he's been that good. So I'm excited to see how he continues to grow as well. But yeah, it was nice to get your receivers involved a little bit. Really excited.
Yes, sir. Love it. Love it. I mean, it's great to see everyone getting involved. I mean, it was just such a great day offensively. I mean, Michael Pittman getting involved, Josh Downs looking like the normal Josh Downs. Hopefully we start to see Anthony Richardson, put it together and things like that. Also update, Anthony Richardson saying, was asked about his hip. James Boyd saying this, I'm feeling a little sore, but I'm feeling good. We got the W today. Great execution by everyone on the field. He says, I think I'm going to be good. Just a little soreness. And AR said it was a mutual decision with him and the team not to return. So it was agreed upon by AR. I'm sure that he probably hated it, but he did agree upon it. And of course, he says, I feel good, just a little sore. Go figure. I mean, you take a helmet to your hip, anyone's going to feel sore after that one. But nevertheless, we'll go ahead and move on here. We're actually going to talk about a couple things. Obama Phone Pro Max 5G with the $2 super chat. And Joe Flacco, we trust.
Nice.
Appreciate the super chat. Cody, we're going to shift from a positive to a negative here in a second. And it starts with this one. Tarek with the $2 super chat. Do you trust the kicker we have? Well, thank you for the super chat. Cody, I'll be the first to say something. Cut him now. Cut him now. I know that it was a 54-yarder and and he, like, a lot of people miss 54-yarders, but a lot of people make 54-yarders. And his have always gone to the left. And as far as I'm concerned whenever he's out there at all, Cody. And if that's telling you anything about the status of your kicker, I don't care how much you're paying him. Chris Ballard overpaid for Matt Gay. He overpaid for Matt Gay. You are not getting the return you deserve from him. And it doesn't matter if he's injured or he's healthy. He misses field goals. Anything beyond 35 yards, he is unreliable. And that is not good enough for a kicker that is making the second most of any kicker in the NFL. That is not fair. The Colts need to cut him immediately and put Spencer Schrader back on this team. And Spencer Schrader needs to be the kicker going forward. Cut Matt Gay now. That's my take on it.
Yeah, where you're paying him it's why are you paying him? He's not doing his job. Like, you pay him to make pay him to make at least some of those kicks. Derek,
at least some of those he misses everything past 40 yards. I don't think he's made one. His longest kick this year, Cody, is a 35-yarder.
Yeah,
his longest make is a 35-yarder.
Kind of rough, man. Again, you can acknowledge that he was really good last year in Baltimore, but since then, what has he done for you? You know, it's over a year ago at this point, you know? So I'm ready to just move on because every week it's something with Matt Gay. You just can't have faith in that kicker. And the kickers are stupid, man. Like, just that whole, like, one week they're incredible and the other week they can't hit the broadside of a barn. It's insane. I don't understand it. But I totally would be fine with that because I'm tired of paying him for literally nothing. Like, he's not making the kicks.
Yeah, you had a great thing with McLaughlin, and look at what we've done now. Like, honestly, Matt Gay at the start of last year was worth every penny, and now all of a sudden, ever since that first injury last year, midway through the year, Matt Gay has not been the guy. He has not been. He makes them in practice, but he don't make them in the games. I mean, it's time to reconsider whether or not he is the answer at kicker going forward. Honestly, it is time.
Yeah, it wasn't even a close kick to you either, you know?
It wasn't even close. And then on some of his extra points, he barely made them in. Like, I mean, that's what I'm talking about here, right? Like, it's so bad. It's obviously terrible. It's time to move on.
It's crazy how he went from, like, so accurate for, like, multiple years to just can't not hit like a 50+
anything.
It's weird. It's just crazy. I don't understand, man. And if you signed him to make those kicks and he's not making those kicks, why are you still having him on your roster? I don't get it. I just don't. Like, Spencer Schrader, rookie, I understand, but Derek, he can hit a 50-yarder, and he did, you know?
Yep, absolutely. It's stupid. Anyways,
let's continue on.
Yeah, let's continue on with something else here. Let's go to the defensive side. Got to talk about it. So, I mean, Cody, again, this was a tale of two halves. I mean, it really was. You had a really good job in the first half of whatever the Colts were doing. I mean, they were incredible. It was just the fact that you gave up 3 straight touchdowns. If it wasn't for what the Colts offense was doing early in the game, then this game would have gotten out of hand very quickly. I understand we were down a ton of people, and it made me so mad because, like, Gus Bradley in the first half was dialing up these blitzes and was like making Justin Fields' life hell for the first half and even in that first drive of the second half. But then all of a sudden you started seeing him dial it back, and you started seeing him like playing softer coverage, playing not to lose, and then Justin Fields just started dialing it up on this team. And I just don't understand it. I mean, again, in that first half, they were almost perfect. They were almost perfect. And then even in that first drive, you were amazing. But then in that second drive, touchdown, third drive, touchdown, fourth drive, touchdown. Like, it was just so frustrating because overall, the majority of the game, the defense looked so great, but then they just lost it. I just don't understand.
It just feels like that's what Gus Bradley's scheme does, Derek. It's like it plays to not lose, the bend not break. But unfortunately, it broke a lot, in this second half. I don't know, man. It just seems like it's such soft coverage. It's just not aggressive. And sometimes you need to be that, Derek. Like, you need to take charge. And it just feels like the Colts defense and Gus Bradley are content to just react rather than attack. And that's what my biggest issue is like, that just bothers me, because the Colts, I feel like the Colts were attacking in the first half and they just let their foot off the gas almost. It's just weird. Not a fan of Gus Bradley's scheme, and it's just frustrating to me, man, because it's like, come on, like, seriously, like, at least try, at least force one of those to not be a touchdown. Like you said, like multiple touchdown drives in that second half. And I know they were down a lot of guys. I know this team really struggles, Derek. I said it before, and I'll say it even in a win. This team really struggles to play complementary football, because either the offense is not playing well and the defense is lighting it up, or vice versa. It is
so weird today, because like the first half, the offense was playing well and the defense was playing well. And then in the second half, the offense took some drives off and the defense took some drives off, which really sucked, because it was a bad time for all of it, man.
Yeah, it's just like when it rains, it pours, it felt like, So I would just like to see this team for once put 4 quarters of complementary football together. Like, they have not done that this year. I would like to see them do that at some point. Like, we've seen glimpses of, like, even today in that first half, glimpses of a good offense, glimpses of a good defense. But then all of a sudden you see some of the things that we've seen already this year, where the offense can't get anything going. The defense can't stop anybody. It's very strange. It's very strange how it's just so hot and cold.
All right. Well, here's the thing. So let's just highlight a couple different people, since we highlighted a few people on the offense that did play well. Again, the linebackers leading the way for overall tackles today. Justin Fields, 22 of 34 for 312 yards and a touchdown, was sacked 4 times. Again, the majority of that coming in the second half, when they were down by so much they had to throw every time. 30 carries for 122 yards. I mean, again, Cody, if it wasn't for the fact that Justin Fields literally like could run every time, I mean, that was their entire production at running the football, was, Justin Fields running the football, and nobody could account for it. And that's what kind of upset me there. Outside of that, like, I really don't think there was a lot of other things that the defense really looked bad, at least from a coverage standpoint. I mean, George Pickens had some really great plays down the field. I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, I will say the Colts should have had 5 sacks today. I know it says 4, but I'm counting that 5 for Isaiah Land. I don't care. That roughing the passer at the beginning of the game was so stupid. I will never not acknowledge that Isaiah Land did get a sack in that game for sure. Latu, again, did have some really great pressures and plays today. Had a couple balls batted at the line, and, was able to get some pressure on Justin Fields today. So really liked to have seen that. Dio Adangbo had a sack and a half today. So, I mean, it was overall, I mean, from a statistical standpoint, I felt like, I mean, this defense has definitely gotten better, Cody. I think I agree with you that the scheme is getting in the way of it sometimes. Because even with all the guys that were, even with some of the guys that were getting hurt, you still were able to put on one of the best performances you've had all year long with that defense. So, I mean, overall, I think it was a great overall effort by the defense, especially Nick Cross too. I will admit, man, Nick Cross has been really good this year, and I think if he keeps it up, he's got a potential future here in Indy.
I would say, man, we were talking off air. I'm like, Derek, have these safeties been really playing well? Like, I feel like they have been playing really well this year. Him and Julian Blackman. Blackman had a sack too today, I believe. He had a sack. Yeah, half a sack. But yeah, I mean, I felt like Derek, both of them have played pretty well. That was kind of the concern. I'll right now, Derek, I'll eat crow. We were wrong on Nick Cross. Like, we were wrong on him. We were clamoring all offseason to get a legitimate starting free safety, right? And Nick Cross has been far from the issue, man. He's been far from the issue. Yes, he hasn't been perfect, but he had a turnover today, a critical turnover on George Pickens, and I thought he played well again. So, yeah, I'm going to give him his flowers, man. He looked good today. Him and JB.
Yep, absolutely. Outside of that, man, I mean, what else do we got on this, man? I mean, we kind of broken everything down here. I mean,
yeah.
It was a close one today, man. He almost gave me a heart attack.
Yeah. Well, Derek, just one more thing, unless you have other things. It's good to see the Colts right around the time of possession. It was very even today. That's like the first time all year it's been very even for the Colts, where they haven't been losing. I mean, last week was better, but they still lost by a decent amount in time of possession. But today they actually they still lost it, but it was, only like by what, like 2 minutes or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, time of possession was very close today, and that just resulted in. That's just the result of the Colts keeping drives together. Early in the game, I mean, the Colts were putting together drives very well, and even in that fourth quarter, they were putting together drives when they absolutely needed it. I mean, it sucked that from the end of the second quarter until the beginning of the fourth quarter, the Colts couldn't figure it out there. But overall, it was definitely a really great job of the Colts just being able to retain possession and keep the defense off the field. So again, can't blame the time of possession being a factor for why the Colts couldn't get the job done defensively. I mean, they definitely did their job today.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll take that, man. We're getting closer to actually winning the time of possession for once. Hopefully that happens this next week, man. Is it in Jacksonville?
Yeah, it's in Jacksonville this next week.
In Jacksonville.
So we're picking against the Colts this next week. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've said this. If you guys,
I don't even care that Jacksonville is 0-4, man. I can't pick this team to beat the Jaguars.
Since like what 2021 2022 we're like we will not pick them
after the 2021 season. I have said I will never pick the Colts to win in Jacksonville.
Please win, please stop the curse.
Please. And also, just to kind of give you an idea, Cody, again, you said of Braden Smith not getting enough credit. Again, Braden Smith has never gotten any NFL accolades ever. When it comes to overall stuff here. TJ Watt in the last 3 games against the Colts. And then in 2020, TJ Watt had 2 sacks on us, but that was with no Braden Smith. In 2022, 0 sacks with Braden Smith. 2023, 2 sacks, no Smith. 2024, 0 sacks, virtually 1 tackle with Braden Smith. So again, goes to show you when Braden Smith plays, he can lock down the best of the best. He has that ability.
Yep, exactly. So, man, like I said at the beginning, wasn't perfect. Second half got really sloppy at times for this team, on both sides of the ball. But a win's a win. Colts go to 2-2. still very much alive in the AFC South. Only a game or so behind the Texans, who squeaked
We
out
are
of
a game
victory.
behind. Yeah.
Yeah,
Would
they
have been
squeaked
nice
out
to
of
see the
victory.
Jags win it, because if they would have, we would have been tied for first in the division after that. But
exactly. But you know what? Like, to be 2-2 after 4 weeks, especially considering how we were feeling after that Green Bay game, I'll take it, man. I'll take it.
I will gladly take these last 2 wins with it.
Was
I thought we
torture,
were going
man.
to start having a season, Cody, like what we saw with
22.
like what we saw with what Jacksonville's going through right now.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought we were going to have another 2022. Maybe not to that level of crazy, but I was like, are we going to have to start talking about the draft already in
I know,
September?
right? Well, I mean, Jacksonville's staying there, dude, with the number 1 overall pick. So Jacksonville's down there with the number 1 overall pick.
Hey.
If Tennessee loses on Monday, then they'll have the number 2 overall pick. Yep. And, Indy's going to be, kind of right there in the middle of the pile again.
Yeah. Hey, Derek, one thing. Shane Steichen is 2-0 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Can you believe that? The Colts
quite crazy to think about, given prior to Shane Steichen getting here, the Pittsburgh Steelers were 27-6 all time on the Indianapolis Colts. And now they're 27-8, and the only and 2 of the 8 losses have come off of Shane Steichen in the last 2 years.
I love it. Man.
Hey, can we finally break another curse? The freaking Jaguars, please.
Oh gosh.
Also, just another elaboration. Anthony Richardson added in his presser that he doesn't know if he'll be able to play next week against the Jaguars. They said that he will take it day by day, which I kind of figured. It's just going to all depend on. It's just all going to depend on, how that hip is feeling. So he said he could have played, but he said that he wasn't able to get any explosion on any of his movements, and that's why he didn't want to come back in, because if he had to run, he just didn't have any ability to make any big plays happen with his feet. So he just figured it'd be safe.
Yep, exactly. Just take it easy with AR. Like, just rest up.
Let him relax. Yeah, let him rest. Get some throws in this week, but yeah, nothing too crazy. Want him to relax. Want him to get ready for this next week. I hope he'll be ready for this next week. So
I hope a lot of guys will be ready for this next week, because we need it, man. We need it bad.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this one, guys. Hope you all enjoyed this reaction to this game. Colts edge out of victory 27-24, put on the best performance against the Pittsburgh Steelers yet this year. Again, ending the Pittsburgh Steelers' perfect season to start. So you got to love that. Got to love another win for the Indianapolis Colts. Again, it was close, but you take the win. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let us know your thoughts on this. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.